If you are experiencing foundation issues, get a free estimate from Ox Foundations.
Coach Matt Griffith joins us for our Coach's Corner this morning. And good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us this morning. And, of course, get started tonight or tomorrow night with 0 week and the Leeds Green Wave. And my goodness, you know, they've had a heritage of great football teams over there.
They've been a very proud football program that last probably 2 or 3 years have kind of had some tough times, and now they've hired Jerry Hood out of retirement. Jerry, of course, was longtime coach at Oak Mountain, longtime coach at Clay Chalkville, won a state championship at Clay Chalkville. Field's named after him at Clay Chalkville. So Jerry's a tremendously good coach. He's come out of retirement because he's like all of us. We really don't know how to do anything else, and we miss it if you're not doing it. So Jerry's trying to get that program revitalized. He doesn't have a lot of seniors. He's got a lot of young kids. So we'll be facing a very young football team Friday night.
15th year at Sylacauga for you, man. That's I remember when it all began. I know you do.
Yeah, we was in that little building over there, and we were talking before that when the rivalry of Sylacauga BB Comer used to. Thursday night was a call-in show, and I did not like that. I'll be honest with you, because the majority of people that called were BB Comer people,
and he didn't do that very long.
But it has been a long time. It's been 15 years as head football coach. I think I'm entering my 9th year as the athletic director. And it doesn't hit you how long till I look at my family and I look at old pictures of Ren being hired, my oldest daughter, at Indian Valley as a school teacher. And she was entering 3rd or 2nd grade when we got here. My daughter will be graduating, my middle daughter Natalie will be graduating nursing next year. And or really in May, next May, and she was in 1st or 2nd grade, and Gray's a junior on the football team, and he was 3. So time flies by.
And your wife has stayed very young. I don't know about you.
Well, I tell you what, doing what I do today and for the rest of, until you can win as many games as you can, it does make an old man out of you quick, I promise.
Talk about this Aggie football team coming out of fall camp.
You know, this is a talented football team. This is, and I say that it is not just because of the skill that we have, but because we're so much better up front than we've been in years past. The thing that worries us most as a coaching staff right now is a lack of depth. You will be seeing us play kids on both sides of the football a lot, and a lot of it will have to be up front. And but this team has a tremendous amount of potential to be one of the better football teams to come through here. You know, will they choose to do that? You know, we talked to them a long time yesterday after practice about mental toughness. It's a mental game. Physically, we're ready to play. You know, mentally, they've got to get themselves ready to play 4 quarters and to play somebody else. So, we're looking forward to it. You know, kids by now in the 3rd week are tired of hitting on each other. They're tired of the routine of practice being the same, and games are rewards for kids. I would hate to know that you played 10 weeks of football and you never got to play anybody. You know, if you did that, nobody would play. So
the heat's been oppressive too, hasn't
it? I cannot remember, besides maybe, what year was it that we had the 2007?
Maybe so.
2007, 2008, it was like this. It was 104, 105 heat index. Yesterday we thought we was going to get a break, and I think yesterday was the hottest day we had.
It was warm yesterday.
But I tell you, our kids have handled it well. And listen, I thank the state for doing what they did. The ability to take kids in the summer and do everything with a ball and everything with a helmet on helps keep kids alive. I really believe that. It indoctrinates them into the heat. They get used to the heat, because that's the whole thing. People always want to say, well, Coach, when I played, I didn't get water and I didn't get this and I didn't go down. You didn't have air conditioning either. So your body and mind was totally acclimated to heat. We have to do that with these kids because our culture is an indoor culture now. especially with kids. So our kids have handled it very well. I'm proud of them. We've done a good job of handling that heat, and we just got to see what we can do Friday night.
With the heat the way it is, and a couple of changes from the state as far as getting the play off, getting that play call with that clock running.
Yeah, I'm a little worried. We've not been able to practice the 40-second like colleges, like I want. We're probably not going to shift as much as we have in the past just this first game to see how that 40-second thing works.
That actually works from the time when the last play ends, right?
Yeah, what happens is in last year, a ball goes out of bounds or a ball's down. You know, the clock may still run if the ball's just down, but the official took his time, he put the ball down. That 25-second clock's not starting until he blows the whistle. Well, you got a lot of teams that want to go fast, and you got a lot of teams that want to go slow, and you got a lot of teams in between. It was all up to the official of how he set that ball and how fast he was. Well, so many people complained, they said, okay, we'll stop this. When the ball goes out of bounds or the ball's down, immediately the 40-second clock starts. It starts immediately. You don't have to set the ball. You're not blowing a whistle. None of that's going on.
40 seconds ain't a long time
40
either.
seconds not, and especially if you throw a pass all the way across the field, your kids have to hustle to get lined up, and you better have ball boys because the official's not going to get the ball.
Right.
So you better, I mean, we took our 3 fastest ninth grade football players. They will travel with us tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
They are our ball boys. They're the 3 fastest kids on our football team in the ninth grade, and they're going to go with us to run balls again Friday night so that doesn't happen.
Don't holler at them.
No, listen, I got enough on my mind on Friday night.
Talk about some of the key players that you're counting on going into the Leeds game tomorrow night and this season for Sylacauga.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, J.D. Deloach, our quarterback, has had just a phenomenal spring. He's had a great summer. He's had a great fall camp. Now we've got to see how the lights handle. When things are fast-paced, when he doesn't have a quick whistle to protect him in a scrimmage. So I'm very anxious to see J.D. I've got a lot of confidence in both running backs because they've got a lot of playing experience, and that's Jordan Ridgway and of course Malik Pope. Now we've held Malik out most of the week. He tore a muscle in his back during a 7-on-7, and it's still just not quite healing. We finally got him in therapy, and Ben Donahue's doing a really good job to try to bring him back. You'll probably see him a half. Journey Stockdale's the other running back. He plays linebacker. Him and Caleb Burns, they both had good falls. Up front, we're really excited because we're bigger and more athletic than I've ever seen us up front on offensive line. And with the Christian Twyman, Taylor Strickland, Tyler Culpepper, Clay Brazier, and Skylar Simmons, it's got the makings of a very good line. There's going to be mistakes made tomorrow night. 3 weeks, it's very hard to get a football team ready to play in 3 weeks. So I expect that we're going to make some mistakes that drive me crazy on the sidelines. But they're going to happen. But as long as we make them full speed, that'll be okay. Darren McElrath, defensive tackle, or Jordan Pearson on the defensive side. Chase Ivy's had a good spring. Gabe Cox, Dontarius Ware.
Yeah, these
Luke
guys are
Vincent.
veterans,
Yeah, we just got a lot. I think we had 28 lettermen back. We've got 22 seniors. It's an older, experienced group. What you saw last year was 9 new starters, and most of them were seniors. We had a young bunch last year that was growing up. So this year we have an older bunch. They know what's expected of them. Listen, it's been a fun fall. We've had very, very, knock on wood, there's not been a lot of drama, not been a lot of trouble. These are good kids that know what they want to accomplish, and it makes a coach's job easier when that happens.
Being familiar with your staff, I mean, you've been very fortunate to have some guys around you. Any changes much this year as far as your staff is concerned?
Yeah, we hired, we lost Matt Carter when he went to Lincoln. We hired Anthony Jacks, who was born and raised in this town and graduated from Comer. Used to be the head coach at Comer. He left. He was a head coach at Pisgah. He had coached at Pelham. He was an assistant at Winterboro. And we had been trying to hire Coach Jacks for a couple of years.
Hometown guy.
Yeah, a couple of years now. He's got his kids in the Sylacauga City school systems. He's bought a house in Sylacauga. And I tell you what, he's been a great addition to our staff. He brings a lot to it. And yet again, that we've hired a good football coach and a good multiple coach. Anthony can coach multiple sports, but he's a great Christian man that is a good role model for our kids. That's always been very, very important for us.
And he's got the excitement, he's got the energy, that you want.
Now the rest of us are old. I mean, that's just what I tell folks. I mean, Anthony's 36, and he's 36, and he's the baby on the staff. We were talking about this at lunch. I mean, myself, Robbie Richardson, Jeff Steers, Derek Crawford, Barry Strickland, we're all in our early 50s. Mike Harris is 62, and then you had Chris Smith. Chris is going to turn 40 this year, and he was the baby before we hired Anthony. So it's a very experienced staff. You was asking about the heat. I think the heat hurt a bunch of old men more than it hurt those kids. I mean, because I'm going to tell you, we left the field yesterday, and I walked in the office, guys, that was hot. I probably every 15, 20 minutes blew the whistle to soak their heads for a water break. I normally
coaches or the players?
Both. And we normally don't do that, but I'm telling you, it's best to err on the side of safety on any single time. You don't make kids tough by lack of water. You don't make kids tough by doing those things. You make kids tough by tackling. So I really believe you don't make kids tough by conditioning. Those aren't times to test a kid's manhood. I really believe that. Now, I think it was when I was playing and when a lot of folks were playing. You test kids by contact. And then when you're conditioning or you're in these heat conditions, you better take care of somebody's child because it's very preventable for a kid. You can prevent a kid from going down if you watch it.
This is week 0, and Sylacauga on the road to take on the Leeds Greenway. What goes into your selection of week 0, where you put that and that kind of stuff?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of that has to do, and we'll do it in January again. When you reclassify, they'll do classifications in January again. And it's the luck of the draw. There might be A through G, and I'm letter H, and they put it all in a hat, and you draw H, and H has your schedule. And everybody's a letter, and it shows you where your schedule is.
Wow.
Well, with us, for years, it was always so easy in that we were going to play Comer 10th, we was going to play Childersburg, and you was going to play Talladega. We had a built-in schedule. Well, when Talladega dropped us and Comer dropped us, it made it interesting. And so what we see is everybody usually has a bye week. Well, if you can't fill your bye week with another region's bye week, a lot of times people just leave it as a bye, and then they'll choose to play 0 week, so they'll have 10 games. And that's what we did. We talked to Leeds 2 years ago, and we played 0 week, and I left my week 10 open to get ready for the playoffs. And that was the philosophy behind it.
That's thinking ahead.
It was thinking ahead, and I'll be honest with you, we lost to Jasper last year, but we played lights out for almost 3.5 quarters and gave ourselves a chance to win the game. If we had not had 2 weeks to prepare, that game's not going to be close.
Finally, this morning, we were talking with Coach Matt Griffith, the head football coach and athletic director at Sylacauga High School. A lot of playoff runs, a lot of 8-9 win seasons, but you're not satisfied with that.
Well, we're never going to be satisfied until, I say this, we'll never be satisfied till you get a blue mat back at Sylacauga where it belongs. And that should be your goal every time. Yeah, a lot of people give me a hard time when I say that an 8-win season is successful, but I'm a creature of what I've been taught. We all are. And, I didn't get that and make that up in my mind. That's from talking to the Fred Yanceys and the Jerry Adcocks and the Buddy Andersons and the older coaches have always said, never sell your kids short on a successful season. Their goals and our goal is get to the playoffs first and then start talking about one step at a time winning a state championship. And we've kind of adopted that philosophy here is that get in the playoffs and then it's anybody's ball game. And we're never going to be satisfied till you win every playoff game and get to that state championship game. It's hard to do. Tom Calvin was on that original board that chose this playoff system. And they said he made the statement walking out when they agreed to it. He said, the problem with what we've just created And back then there were 4 classifications. He said there's only 4 teams that's going to go happy in a season. Everybody else ends on defeat. Well, in the old days, you went 8-2, 9-1, and then the newspapers chose it, and you ended on a good note. So it has changed. It's changed. Everybody's going to go home disappointed now, but 7 teams in the state.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, the first step to getting that blue map is Friday night over in Leeds, Alabama. And Coach, we appreciate you coming by this morning. Good luck this season. We'll see you next week.
All right, thanks for having me.
Coach Matt Griffith, the head football coach and athletic director at Sylacauga High School. The Aggies and Leeds tomorrow night kick at 7 in Leeds, Alabama. More Daybreak after this.